Good evening, everyone. My name is Igor Peković. I'm test automation engineer at Infinum. I work from Infinum's office in Podgorica. This is my first time in Skopje, so please be gentle with your questions later on. And tonight my topic will be using AI for efficient test automation. So let's start. First, I will go to short introduction, describe our way of work. Then we will see AI integration that we did in our framework. We will talk a bit about the challenges that we came across, and in the end, I will share the conclusions that we made. Okay. So, as you are probably aware, AI is being implemented in all industries nowadays, and software testing is not an exception, of course. We at Infinum reviewed some of the AI tools that are out there. So here are some of them, and what's common for all of them is that they all offer some AI-powered functionalities, such as generating test cases, automated tests, self-healing capabilities, and stuff like that. So we wanted to explore these functionalities and see if we can incorporate them into our test automation framework. However, there are some drawbacks to all of these tools, such as you don't have access to the code base for them. They cost usually a lot, and you cannot make changes like you can do for some framework that you have in-house. And that's why we decided to implement our solution. Okay, so these are testing types that we do at Infinum, but here I will focus mostly on automated testing and web automated testing, to be specific. Okay. Can someone tell me what's page object model? I guess for people working in test automation, this is familiar term. This is actually a test design pattern that actually follows logic where all logic related to pages, meaning locating elements, methods, actions on those elements are written and stored in some directory that represents pages, and tests are stored separately. So our test automation framework is based on PyTest with Python and Selenium, and we follow this approach, meaning that in pages we store locators, properties, and methods. We'll come to this later, what this really is, and tests are stored separately. So how that looks in our framework, you can see that in the pages we have locators, which is first three input fields, well, two input fields and a button. And then we have property for each of these locators, and in the end we have some methods. And in tests, which are separated, we just reuse this logic that we have in pages. Okay, now I will jump to AI integration and explain why we decided and how we deducted what we want to accomplish with AI to help us in our framework. So what can AI help us with? Well, that's the first step that we are doing when we want to write automated tests, is to get locators and properties. Then we want to create methods. And once we have that, we might want to create automated tests. And well, not that much related, but we also have idea that test cases can be generated using AI as well. So let's start from the first thing, which is locators and properties. But first, let's explain what they really are. So in this example, this is a really basic example of a login page where we have two input fields for email and password and sign-in button. And we need a way that we can uniquely locate these elements in order to interact with them. So in this example, it's rather simple because we have IDs on these elements, and we can use them for locating input fields. And we have, for example, this type submit for button, and it's not a big deal to locate it. And how would that look? We would have like some CSS selector for email and password inputs, where we have IDs, and then we will have also CSS selector for button type submit for sign-in button. And then when we define locators, we can define properties, and then we can use these properties in automated tests to access all of the attributes that we want to have in automated tests, such as getting text from these elements. But this was really like basic example. We don't need help from AI to do these kind of things. So on this slide we have some more realistic example of our project, one of our project. So you can see this section that has like pairs, label, and the value, and actually all these elements are generated dynamically, so we cannot assign IDs for them. And in these cases, which is a common practice in test automation, we have some attribute that we use to locate them, which is data test ID in this example. So we use this kind of element attributes to get what we want from the DOM. So what's our idea? How can AI help us with this? Because in this example, usually what we would need to do, we would need to go manually and search for locator for each of these elements that we want, store it somewhere, and use it later. So the idea how to get them is to actually get a DOM of this section that contains all these elements. Then we will provide this data test ID attribute that is used to locate them. And then we want to get the response, but in specific format, the format that suits our test automation framework. And in the end, we will hopefully get this response and use it out of the box. Okay, let's see how that works. So here I have the example of this method that does what I explained previously. Since we are using Selenium, we used its capabilities to define a page, open up a browser, and log into some application and get all these elements. So the main logic here lies behind this method getElementLocators from GPT. So we need to provide outer element, which is the element that contains all these elements that we want to get locators from. And we want to provide element attribute, which is data test ID in this example, but on different projects we can have like different element attributes. So we want to provide this info as well. So I'm not going to go into details, into technical details, what this method does in the background. Obviously, we need to have some API key to communicate with GPT to set these kind of things. But I would say the main thing there is that we build up a prompt, and you can see that right here. So you can see that there is a bunch of things defined, but in reality, that's actually we are explaining how our test automation framework works and in what format we want to get the response. Okay, so now I will run this method in this example that we saw on the screenshot previously and see what it actually does and what will we get, unless something breaks. Hopefully not. Okay, so we go to this specific page, and here I provided the element that contains all these elements that we want to get locators and properties, and we got the response. So first we got locators generated and grouped together, and then we got properties for each of these locators. So I would say that the instructions were followed correctly because we have naming according to what we specified. Then we are using CSS selectors, we are using data test ID attribute, and let's just check if some of these are actually correct. So I will go here and do this and see, okay. So the locators actually correct. So we got locators for the values that we want to check, but we didn't get locators for the labels, which is also correct because in automated test we don't want to check labels. We usually want to check only the values that are displayed here. And you can see that this was not actually that trivial to do, because since this, behind technical implementation, there is there are components that are dynamically generated, and we need to combine actually two elements in order to get the one with the value, because all these elements with values have the same data point value. So ChatGPT in this case decided that we need to first locate the outer element that contains both label and the value, and then to access the value, which is correct and exactly what we want. Okay, let's see also what we got here. So we got locators, that's correct. We got properties. You can see that we got responses for these properties to use methods that are defined in our base page of our test automation framework, which is also something that we specified. And this all seems correct. And now, well, another question. We got the way to locate the elements, but what's the next step? We could use it to generate some methods. So if you were about to write some test case for this page or this section, what would you check? You would probably check if these values are correct. So that's also what we did in our prompt. We asked for that kind of method, and you can see that that kind of method is also created. So it accepts arguments for each of these elements and checks if the text of each element is equal to what we are checking with. So here as well we define that we want to use PyTest check method to do these things, to use well, equal or is in methods of it. And for example, this thing for stripping the text that is displayed is not specified anywhere. This is something that GPT did by its own, and I would say that's a good thing, because yeah, we want to trim those empty spaces if there are any. So yeah, on this example, everything worked fine, everything went well. And let's see like another thing that we could check, and that's what if we have similar section with but just with input fields. What would happen if we run this method on this example? So I will do that now, just to delete this first response. So we now need edit page. I will go to this form for editing, and I will provide the element that contains these fields that are input fields actually. Okay, I think that's everything. Let's see what we will get. So Selenium again opens up a browser, go to this page, now opens this edit form, and now the prompt is sent for this section. Okay, we got the response pretty fast. and let's see if, I don't know, some of these elements, element locators is correct now. Okay, yeah, so in this example as well, we got correct locator, correct way to uniquely identify these elements. I would say the naming is also correct, properties as well. And let's see the methods. Okay, we got method for checking values, and since now we have input fields, we are using different method to get the text from it and to compare it, which is also correct. And on top of all of that, since now we had input fields, that means a form with input fields, we got another method for populating these fields, which is also something that we would need to write if we were about to write automated test. So here everything is similar, I would say, and yeah, we can see that we have a gender dropdown and we have another method which is applied here, which is select by visible text, and that's because, yeah, all these input fields are, all these fields are input fields except the gender, which is a dropdown, and it handles, it behaves in a different way, which is also correct. So yeah, I would say this is actually everything that we wanted to get, and that we got the response that we needed. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so everything went smooth so far, but what can be challenges in this kind of approach? Well, I showed you an example of a form or a section which has like I don't know, 8 elements, and that would work if we have like several sections like that. But if we have like some really big form or the entire page, which can have like a mix of elements different type and a mix of different sections, then that could be problematic. I can actually show you an example of that kind of page. So one of my coworkers once said that this is probably the biggest page that he has ever seen. So I would agree with that, because for example, on this page we have some, I don't know, badges, some slider, links, tables that are dynamically generated, a bunch of different sections, files, I don't know, checkboxes, I think we also have images, another files, and a bunch of stuff. So this is something that AI has trouble with, and this method, if I would run it now, the first thing, it would take a bit longer because we would send a really big DOM to the GPT, and we would wait a lot more to get the response. Another thing is that the results that we get for this kind of responses are not that correct. We need to investigate them. We need to, in most cases, refine them. And yeah, we definitely get some things correct, but we cannot rely that everything will be correct. Okay, so what about generating automated tests? When we get to this, and we saw that we can have troubles with some cases like this, with entire pages and bigger forms. We didn't want to, build on top of incorrect results and, to get some wrong result and then create automated tests on top of that and need to refine everything backwards. So we decided not to continue with this approach, with idea to write automated tests with the help of AI. And yeah, the another idea that we had is to generate test cases with the help of AI. but that would mean that all test cases would be generated from user stories and tasks. And that means that acceptance criteria would have to be standardized, because user stories and tasks would need to be written in the same way across all projects. And since we are an agency, we have a lot of different projects. We have external co-workers. That's not something that we could actually do, and that we could find the benefit from. For test cases, we decided not to generate them using AI, but to ask AI, let's say, manually, and see if we can get some better ideas for test cases, because for example, ChatGPT can be really good at that in case if you want to get new ideas for writing test cases and testing some specific scenarios, but we couldn't get some generalized way of building up a prompt that would get good results always. So what's the conclusion? Based on our experience and the tools that we reviewed and our internal implementation of AI tool, is that AI can definitely help us. We can definitely use it for the things that we saw, for generating locators and properties, methods to help us to speed up the process of writing automated tests. This is actually my prompt from maybe last week or 10 days ago, that is not actually related to any of our implementation, but here I just wanted to point out how AI responses can be wrong. So I asked it to give me a word where fourth letter is X, and the response was the word relax has X as its fourth letter, which is obviously not correct. So I asked how, and then I apologize for the oversight in my previous message. In the word the relax, X is actually the fifth letter, not fourth. A correct example would be exact, where X is indeed the fourth letter, which is also wrong, obviously. My point is that AI can be wrong for some things that are trivial to us, and also it can be wrong, it can hallucinate when sending different kind of prompts. So all the responses that we get from AI, we should probably check, like not 100%, but check some of the parts and see if that makes any sense. Also, if you are using some external tools that are using AI, they are all advertising that they can do a bunch of stuff using AI with the help of AI, but I would say, based on our experience, it's not something that you can rely on in all possible cases. Okay, that was all from my side. Do you have any questions? Jerzy.
Do you maybe use those type of help support, AI help support on your projects?
How do you mean specifically?
In your test automation projects, let's say, you showed us a great demo,
great
presentation, but do you use this on a real-time project?
Yeah. Well, this example is actually from a real project from our agency, where we actually decided to do a proof of concept, and we got to this prompt that I showed you, which is general enough that can be used for any project, I guess, where we have like these things like data test ID or some other attributes where we can find the things that we need. This was an example actually from the real project.
And in terms of time, do you maybe have rough idea how much time did this one actually save you?
Well, I can't say for sure, because this was the example where we did a proof of concept and we spent some time to get to the point that we have this kind of prompt which would be general enough and that we can now use it. But I would say when we have this prompt now, for everything that we did later on, especially for these bigger pages where we would like send these requests in a smart way, meaning we wouldn't send like entire page if it's too complicated. We would send like section with only input fields and then a section with only read-only fields. That saved us really a bunch of time, because all these things doing through manually is really time consuming, and in this way we get everything in few seconds. Okay. Yes?
Do you run the automated tests manually, or they are part of a CI/CD pipeline or something like that?
Yeah, we usually have them set up as part of CI pipeline. So we usually have some scheduled runs, usually over the night. It depends, on web projects. We have them more regularly, like every night or every working day. For mobile, since mobile tests are taking longer, that's maybe a little less. But yeah, usually we always tend on all of our projects to have tests as part of CI pipeline.
And these locators, they last only one session, I guess. So per session they refresh.
No, it doesn't.
Or they are part of the code.
No, it doesn't work that way. So when we are in process of writing automated tests, we call this method, which gets us these locators, and then we just save them where we want, on the places where we are usually storing them when working manually, and then we commit these changes and have them stored for whatever we want. So it's not like that we run this to run the automated test. It's more of a help in the process of writing automated tests. So we still have a lot of let's say manual work in the process of writing automated tests as before, in the meaning we need to see what we want to test and to see all the sections that we want to check. But these first steps that are usually taking a lot of time to manually go through all these elements and see how can we locate them in a unique way, that's what we get help. Thank you.
But those locators are probably predefined with the developers before they start developing.
Yeah, well, usually it's an ongoing thing. But yeah, if we want to automate, for example, some page, we need to have these locators defined on this page. And a good thing is that usually developers can add them dynamically. And if, for example, on this section, maybe we can have 8 elements. In some other case, we can have like 7 or less or more. And it doesn't matter, because in the moment that we run the method, we will get all these locators for all the elements that are present there. Okay.
That's it.
All right, that's it. Thank you.